March 11, 2011 began like any other normal day in Japan. Offices were busy, children were in school, trains ran with their usual precision, life moved forward without warning of what was about to happen. At 2:46 p.m. local time, the ground began to shake. At first, many people assumed it was another routine earthquake. Japan experiences thousands every year, but this one was different. The shaking did not fade. It grew stronger, longer, and more violent with every passing second. Buildings swayed side to side, shelves collapsed, roads cracked open, people struggled to stand as the earth moved beneath their feet. This was not just another earthquake, this was the beginning of one of the most devastating natural disasters in modern history. A megaquake beneath the Pacific Ocean. The earthquake struck deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, about 130 kilometers off the northeastern coast of Japan, near the Tōhoku region. Its magnitude was 9.0, placing it among the strongest earthquakes ever recorded on Earth. The cause was a sudden and powerful movement between tectonic plates. The Pacific Plate had been slowly pushing beneath the Okhotsk Plate for centuries. On this day, the pressure finally released. When the plates shifted, the seafloor was thrust upward by several meters in seconds. That single movement released more energy than thousands of nuclear bombs combined, but the earthquake itself was only the first part of the disaster. The ocean begins to rise. When the seafloor moved, it displaced an enormous amount of water. That water did not disappear. It began moving outward in all directions, forming a tsunami that raced across the Pacific Ocean at jetliner speeds. Along Japan's coastline, tsunami warning systems activated. Sirens echoed through towns. Emergency alerts flashed on screens. People were told to evacuate immediately. Many obeyed and ran toward higher ground. Others hesitated, believing seawalls and barriers would be enough. Some simply didn't have enough time. Within minutes, the ocean arrived. Smart CTA number 1, if this breakdown is helping you understand how earthquakes and tsunamis are connected, consider liking the video. It helps more people learn how these disasters really unfold when the tsunami hit land. The tsunami struck with unimaginable force. In some places, waves reached heights of 40 meters, taller than many buildings. Entire coastal towns were swallowed in seconds. Houses were lifted off their foundations, cars collided like toys, fishing boats were thrown onto streets, fires broke out as gas lines ruptured. The water did not simply hit the coast and retreat, it pushed deep inland, flooding farmland, highways, and residential areas. In many towns, there was no time to escape. Communities erased in minutes. Cities like Sendai, Rikuzentakata, and Kesennuma were among the hardest hit. In Rikuzentakata, nearly the entire town was destroyed. Out of thousands of homes, only a handful remained standing. In Minami-Sanriku, government buildings meant for evacuation were completely overwhelmed. People climbed trees, rooftops, and anything high enough to survive. Others were swept away by the force of the water. What took generations to build was destroyed in minutes. The scale of human loss. The combined earthquake and tsunami claimed the lives of nearly 20,000 people. Thousands more were injured. Over 2,500 people were never found. More than 450,000 residents were forced into evacuation shelters. Families were separated. Communities were scattered. Survivors searched through debris for loved ones, often finding only personal belongings, photographs, shoes, broken furniture. The emotional toll was overwhelming, but another crisis was quietly unfolding behind the scenes. Smart CTA number 2, moments like this raise an important question. How prepared is your area for a major disaster? Share this video so others can think about readiness before it's too late. Trouble at Fukushima Daiichi. The tsunami reached the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant located along the coast. The reactors shut down automatically after the earthquake, exactly as designed. But the tsunami flooded the facility, knocking out backup generators needed to power cooling systems. Without cooling, reactor temperatures began to rise. Within days, 3 nuclear reactors suffered core meltdowns. Hydrogen gas built up and exploded, tearing apart reactor buildings. Radioactive material leaked into the air and ocean. The disaster had now become a nuclear emergency. Fear spreads across Japan and the world. More than 150,000 people were evacuated from the Fukushima region. Entire towns were abandoned overnight. Radiation fears spread across Japan and beyond. Food supplies were tested, water was monitored, flights were cancelled. The nuclear crisis dominated global headlines and reignited debates about nuclear power safety worldwide. For many evacuees, returning home was no longer possible. Long-term consequences. Even years later, large areas around Fukushima remain restricted. Farmland and fishing zones were heavily impacted. Families were forced to rebuild their lives elsewhere. Cleanup efforts became one of the most complex and expensive environmental projects in history. The disaster reshaped Japan's energy policy and forced countries worldwide to re-evaluate nuclear safety standards. Smart CTA number 3. If you value in-depth stories about how disasters reshape nations, subscribing helps ensure you don't miss future breakdowns like this. A nation responds with strength. Despite the devastation, Japan's response showed remarkable resilience. Emergency crews worked non-stop. The self-defense forces rescued thousands. Volunteers traveled from across the country to help. In evacuation shelters, people remained orderly and supportive of one another. Even in tragedy, community came first. The world watched as Japan faced disaster with dignity and determination. Lessons written in tragedy. The 2011 Tōhoku disaster taught the world that nature can surpass even the strongest defenses. One disaster can trigger many others, as the earthquake led to a tsunami and a nuclear crisis. Preparation saves lives, but humility before nature is essential. The event reshaped safety worldwide, changing how buildings are designed, coastlines protected, and nuclear plants regulated. Most importantly, it reminded humanity of its shared vulnerability. Disasters affect everyone, and overcoming them requires community, cooperation, and resilience. A disaster that changed history. March 11th is now a day of remembrance in Japan, a day to honor lives lost, to reflect on survival, and to appreciate the strength of the human spirit. Memorials stand where towns and villages once thrived. Streets and neighborhoods that were wiped away by the tsunami are remembered not just as places of tragedy, but as symbols of perseverance. Survivors continue to rebuild not just homes and buildings, but hope, trust, and community. Schools, hospitals, and entire towns have been reconstructed, blending memory with innovation. The lessons learned are embedded in every new structure, every new emergency plan, and every act of preparation. The Tōhoku earthquake and tsunami was not just a natural disaster. It was a turning point in history, a moment that reshaped engineering, policy, and the way humanity views its relationship with the planet. It is a reminder that the forces of the Earth are powerful, unpredictable, and unforgiving. But it is also a reminder that, even in the face of unimaginable destruction, human courage, resilience, and unity can endure. Outro, main call to action. Natural disasters are not just events of the past, they are warnings for the future. Understanding them helps communities prepare, respond, and save lives. If you want to continue learning about the most powerful natural disasters in history and the lessons they leave behind, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and turn on notifications. Your support helps keep these important stories alive, so they are never forgotten.